All right, we can call this meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody's here but Sunny. So we have no executive session, correct? And do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
I do not.
Okay. If not, then we will have the joint public hearing with the budget committee. Now they have to probably, do they need to start their meeting? Or would it just be along with ours?
If they want to do the formality, I mean,
Right.
we can make this as formal or as informal.
Right. Well, if they're gonna vote, we probably should do formal.
Actually, there's no
There's no
voting.
vote. Okay.
There's no
All
voting.
right.
It's just informing the public.
That's right. I guess that's right. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't bother personally.
Do you want me to do a?
Yeah, you might still tee it up if you
Okay,
want.
all right. All right. So this is the official public hearing for the joint public hearing for the Budget Committee and the Town Council concerning the FY26 budget. And I think the bumper sticker for this budget says, "Great news." I think this is a great news budget. And I hope the town agrees. And the proof's in the pudding. We'll see what happens comes June, right? But for tonight, if anybody has any questions, what I'll do is I'll read more for the internet world. I'll read the my revised FY26 budget letter and then just make a couple of comments after that. And then I'll turn it over to the chair. So my letter dated February 3rd goes like this: to the Town Council, Budget Committee staff and citizens. First, I once again would like to extend a big thank you to Lisa Prevost for her invaluable assistance in the creation of this proposed FY26 budget. Second, I would also like to thank all of the department heads for working with us and taking the time to comb through this budget line by line. As many of you know, creating a municipal budget is indeed a balancing act of providing necessary town services weighed against the ability of the taxpayer to afford those services. In the end, while no budget is perfect, I hope you'll agree that all involved gave a good faith effort to achieve a livable balance. FY26 budget journey begins with a few important themes to keep in mind, and they are as follows. Number one, surplus. FY26 will see a substantial increase in available surplus dollars. This year's number is $464,000, up from $178,000. We continue to see a feast-famine scenario with a year-to-year surplus number. 2, FY26 Main State revenue sharing. Great news. We are on course to receive an increase of $162,461 from our share of Main State revenue. 3, the 5-year capital improvement plan. Our rolling 5-year capital improvement plan has been updated. This FY26 budget lays out a plan to pay for major capital assets with cash while saving monies for future capital purchases, all without the use of debt and unwanted interest payments. 4, employees. They are the soul of our operation, and this FY26 budget continues the quest to keep good people with a 4% COLA for non-contracted staff, along with ongoing wage adjustments. As of the revised writing of this letter on the expense side, the overall general fund budget for FY26 is up by 5%, with 4 budgets less than the current year. On the revenue side, we continue to forecast with a conservative eye. We estimate FY26 total revenues to be a little over $1.8 million. This includes all estimated state and local revenue sources. Updated revisions, of course, may make this number increase or decrease. This presented FY26 budget has a decrease. And when I say decrease, I mean decrease of $61,131 in the net to be raised calculation. A reminder to all, it is normal and commonplace for some of these presented numbers to change as a part of the process. And it goes on better and updated information, but we're pretty much through all of that at this point in time. I will make a couple of comments about the presented decrease of 61,000. Actually, it's $231. Thank you, Connor. Connor caught an extra $100 in our analysis here. So how do we get to a net to be raised of negative $61,231? A lot of it has to do, so our municipal expenses are actually up around 140,000. But based on estimated revenues from excise taxes, your hunting licenses, to Maine State revenue sharing, homestead exemption reimbursement, Betty reimbursement, all of that totaled is higher than it was in the current year. And so it's up substantial, it's up higher than the $140,000 increase in the spending. As a matter of fact, if memory serves me correct, it's up around $228,000. Yeah, $228,934. And so this summary budget that we're talking about tonight not only includes the operational budget and the capital expenditures for the town, it also includes the county assessment, the county bill, and the county bill for FY26 is up $27,510. So when you get done doing all of the math, one other component before I summarize that. I'm really proud for the town that later tonight, this town is going to take a vote. The council is going to take a vote on purchasing a brand new fire truck, pumper truck for the fire station, and we intend to do it with cash. This is huge for this town. And, you know, I applaud everybody involved in this. More to come on that later. But because we have the increase in surplus dollars of 464,000, plus we're going to ask the citizens in June to expend in capital the same number that they expended in the current year. So there's not going to be an increase to the taxpayer when it comes to the capital lines. So when you take the same number and you add it to the 464, it's a very healthy attack to add to our capital needs and set-asides and reserve accounts for future needs. All of this while continue to fix our roads and all the other good things that we're doing through capital. And I couldn't be more proud. I simply could not be more proud that 2/3 of what makes up two different legs of the three legs that make up your tax bill, the municipal and the county, two of those combined with the increased estimated revenues means a decrease in the overall number to the tune of $61,231. Now, rough math, very rough math. But if you say that the town of Mechanic Falls valuation is roughly 300 million, I always ask myself, what does a mill of spending equal? So if the town is valued at 300 million, that means a mill of spending is 300,000. Well, if a mill of spending is 300,000, then 10 cents of that is 30,000. So as we do this tonight, we're looking at a 20-cent decrease to the mill rate, which in the land of doing this stuff is almost unheard of. And so we'll see what the school numbers are going to be, but certainly this will help to mitigate whatever that is. This really is truly a good news story. And Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to you guys. Nope. I think we're good. All right. I would like to take a moment and thank the Budget Committee for taking the time and committing to doing this with us. As we all know, it's harder and harder to find folks to do things here in the 21st century. Doesn't mean that we're bad people. It's just everybody's busy. So thank you very much for taking the time and being a part of this. Thank you. You can stick around if you want, or you can take off. The pleasure is yours. Free and clear tonight. Right?
So general reporting, we need a motion to accept the minutes.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented for the January 28th, 2025 meeting.
We also have to accept the minutes.
We
So,
also,
so you can do them en masse or separate. It's up to you guys, but there are 3 meetings here.
yeah. Also the January 28th, 2025 executive session meeting and the February 3rd, 2025 monthly council meeting again.
All of you here at the February 3rd?
I was here. He zoomed, so he was here technically. Sorry. Sorry, I'm gonna send it to voicemail.
We have a move in a second.
We have moved and seconded. Any other discussion? If not, those in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you.
Those opposed, it is carried. The department monthly reports as presented.
I make a motion that we accept the monthly department reports as presented.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you.
Opposed, same, it's carried. Public comments.
Used to going first. I am here tonight to speak to you on behalf of the Community Day Committee. Mary will talk to you about school board stuff. So the Community Day Committee, we had our first meeting on the 25th. So just last week, we have 2 new members. Very exciting. But we also had at least 2 people step down. So, you know, we're kind of, we're making it. Thank you for the opportunity to put some information in the town report. We appreciate that. And we will be working on getting that to you as soon as possible. We are looking for a theme for this year, and we'd like the theme to be for the parade as well as the art contest. The art contest is a tradition we just started last year, very popular. So we're going to do that again. It's going to be for 6th grade students at Elm Street School to design something that'll go on our posters, potentially the t-shirts, just to advertise community days for this year. So the parade in the past has been the horribles a lot. We don't want to do that as the theme because that's not, we don't want the 6th graders all designing and drawing horrible things. So we're looking for that. We will have a post on Facebook We're gonna do a poll. That's what we did last year to find the theme from our community. So we're gonna be working on that. Our next meeting is March 25th, right here at 7 PM. I think Nancy changed the date, the reservation. We were looking to switch the night of the week from Wednesday to Tuesday, because we have people that cannot ever come on Wednesdays. So we're trying to get more people that way. March 25th at 7 PM. And the other big thing to mention is that we are discussing changing when Community Days takes place. It used to be the first weekend in June, and there was a year where 3 of us had seniors graduating, and that was graduation day was that same day. So we didn't, we shifted to the beginning of August, and now we have people with conflicts in August that are in the active planning group. So we're evaluating switching it back. We found it was hard to connect with the sports teams and the school groups because doing it in August, that's when there's no varsity sports and all the, the rec sports are done. It's kind of an in-between when everyone's on vacation. So we had a hard time last year kind of getting people booked. So we're reevaluating that. At our next meeting, we're going to decide. So the next time I come here, I'll have all of that confirmed for you. But that's it. Yeah.
I'm sure you probably already know this, but in your planning, do you know that Veterans Park now has power? Hopefully it will work when that moment in time comes, but it has
Hopefully.
power.
Yes, I did write that down when you said that at a previous meeting. Thank you. That's a big help. Thank you.
In 219 Jordan Road. I wish the budget picture I giving you was as positive as the one Vic gave you. Just to kind of, Paula is on our budget committee, and those meetings start tomorrow night. And so just some of the challenges we have to start with is we did get an increase in subsidy of $309,000. At the same time, they told us that our valuations in all 3 towns had gone up. So in order to get that $309,000, we have to raise another $638,000. So valuation is a major issue, and that's how they set our school subsidy. And Augusta is looking at other alternatives and reporting to the legislature in March. So we have done what we can to reach out to the legislature. We've asked them to advocate. We've sent letters to all of our representatives asking them to advocate for less emphasis on valuation, that we have some really strong facility needs, and asking them to advocate for more renovation funds, because we are out there looking for those. And Jess is the chair of our operations committee. We did ask them also to consider an increase in revenue sharing, and it's good to hear that that is something that's happening for you. We have three budget meetings in March, 1 in April. We will likely take a board vote on that budget in April and May, and then our district meeting is May 20th. And the other one is what I guess Daryl has already talked to you a little bit about, is the RSU 16 cost share committee. And that's really a municipal committee, in that there are 3 members from each of the towns, of which you chose the people that would represent Mechanic Falls, and the same was true for Minot and for Poland. So it's a 9-member committee. And the structure of it is based on the reorganization plan when we became an RSU, that said that we should periodically take a look at that cost share. And we have done it a couple of times before. Poland asked us to do it in this formal way. So that's what we're doing. When we've had 2 meetings, we've gathered lots of information on our 3 towns and how they compare to each other, and had some discussion. Right now, the cost share is a 90-10. So it means that 90% of it is based on valuation and 10 on student count. So what that means for Mechanic Falls, that means that we share about 17% of that cost share, and we have 28% of the students. For Minot, they share about 20% of that cost share. They have 24% of the students. And for Poland, they share 63% of the cost of, and we're talking only about the local, because we have subsidy that pays for about 60%. And then in order to get that subsidy, we have to raise some required local. But this is beyond that. This is a local that is about 17% of the budget. So it's not the whole budget. But Poland does share 63% of that, and they only have 47% of the students. So it's their valuation that is really pumping up their share. So that's a concern that they have consistently had throughout the years, is that they have fewer students. But to bring it to just purely on pupils would be unfair to the towns that have significantly less in valuation. So what we're trying to do is look at this formula and see if people feel that it is equitable. So that process that was laid out in this reorganization plan said that we needed, when we looked at it, to go out to our communities, and we did do a survey of which 225 people answered. Majority of those people were from Poland. There was, so it was sort of a mix of people that felt it was extremely inequitable to people that thought it was very equitable. And my guess would be, and I don't know, Carol, whether you agree, I think it's on
she
10.
admitted that it pretty much went by like Poland, most of Poland said it wasn't, and then the rest were kind of like either indifferent or thought it was fine, just the way it was.
Right. So what
paying
we're
less,
working
so.
through now is to look at what would it look like for the three towns if we did something a little bit different. So right now it's 90-10, 90% valuation, 10% pupils. So we had looked at an 85-15. We looked at 75-25. Daryl and I both asked them to look at 80-20 to see what that would be. It tends to make more of a difference in terms of dollars for Mechanic Falls than it does in Minot. And it may not get to the level that Poland would like to see it. So I think we've still got a lot of work ahead of us. Just to give you a sense of what it might mean if we went to, instead of 90-10 to 80-20, Mechanic Falls would have to raise about $53,000 more than we currently do. And Minot would raise $22,000 more. And, that break would be what Poland would get for a break. 75-25.
Well, 79,603 for us.
Yeah. And 33,710 for Minot. So, and, yeah. If we were at 100% for pupil, just to give you an example, what it would be like if we were looking at 100% for pupil, that would be $477,000 increase for us. So I don't think anybody's pushing for that within our committee. That's not the sense that I get,
Right.
but I do get a sense that we need to, that they're pushing to look at a possible change. What would happen is, if the committee decides that no change is warranted, then that just stops the process. If they decide that something else is warranted, then that has to go to referendum. And it's a vote of the three towns. If we were to decide something completely different and not do any valuation or something out there, then it would have to go to the three towns, and each of the three towns would have to approve it. But we haven't discussed any
Right.
other way. So.
And the committee is not looking at making, like, if it is, say, 80 20 or 75, 25. They're not looking at doing that all in one year. They're looking at stepping at 5 each year till it gets down to that, like understanding that that would be a pretty big hit all in one year. So
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at.
we haven't made no decisions. And even once the committee does make a decision, it goes to the towns, right?
Right,
If I'm,
correct.
May I ask a question? So Poland pushed for the high school. Poland pushed for the middle school. Why can't we just dissolve the RSU and let Poland have their little world over there and go back to the way we used to be, where we sent our students to other schools and we only paid the 10,000 or whatever it was per pupil to that school that they were going into?
I mean, that's an option for all three towns, but the RSU owns all of the buildings now. You know, any of the three towns could decide to do that, but towns that have done that have found it extremely expensive. And yeah,
and
and we don't own it. Mechanic Falls doesn't own a school anymore. They belong to the RSU. So yeah, it would be complicated, and there are some towns that are looking at that. I heard you talking about Harrison when I came in. I know that there are some towns that are looking at doing that. You know, one of the things that, you know, we talk about all the time at the school board is we are one school, and it would be difficult for one of those communities to pull out. It would, because the other two communities would have to manage that for a group of kids. Yeah. And yeah, it wouldn't be anything that
it would not
I
be
advocate
it would
for.
not be good for any of the towns.
No, it would be difficult
Overall.
for all of them, but it is, I mean, that's always an option.
And we have a lot of data, and some of the data talks about the fact that regardless of where you feel about school budgets, our budget or our per student
Right.
cost is low compared to the state.
The average state average is 17,654, and our per pupil average is 14,442. So, you know, and you know, the facilitator for our group is from the state, has had a great deal of experience in school finance at the state level. And, you know, she has said multiple times that, you know, we are using our dollars well, and but it is a lot of money, and it does have a tax impact. And because it's so based on valuation, and our valuations in our three towns keep going up, that impacts negatively what we get from the state.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you very much for your service.
There's no one else, then we will close the public comments. Now we have council comments. Mary stole what I was gonna say, so I don't mind that she was the one that said it either. She does it much better than I do. I will just say, you know, I mean, everybody knows where I stand on budget and taxes and everything else. I'm extremely conservative. I mean, I told them they went around the room and asked, and I said, I don't want to move at all. But I mean, I can read the room, and like the reality is that may be where I want to be, but that's not what's going to happen. So, you know, I think that we'll do our best to represent our town, and negotiate the best we can to keep it as close to what it is now as we can. That's all, I guess that's all I can say. And, you know, and everybody, and each of the three towns are all looking out for their town. So, ultimately, so, and trying to be fair, because I mean, the reality is when I don't think you actually shared how much. You said percentages, but you didn't say the amount, right? So just for an example, the way it is right now, it's roughly $4 million of money that we have to come up between the three towns. Poland pays 2,653,597 of that. That's way more than half. So when you put that in perspective, and ours, theirs is 2.6, ours is 700,000 roughly. So I can see, if I lived in Poland, I can see from their perspective why they would, and now I know their valuation is higher. They have more land, they have more landowners. It doesn't have the impact on the individual like it does for us, but still I can see where they're coming from. So, but I'm not gonna give any more than I have to. So that's all I have to say. Unless anybody wants to ask me something, I may be able to help. But Mary probably could help more than I could.
The state says the average is 17,000, whatever that number is. Why aren't they giving us that per student then?
We last year lost a lot of subsidies. We asked some very pointed questions, questions like that. And their answer is that when they look at our three towns and our valuation, that we have the capacity to raise enough money to support the subsidy. So we might not feel that way, but that's the feeling from the state, that we have that capacity to support. We don't need. We appeal to everyone trying to get them to reconsider.
We're not Portland. Reality. Anything else? All right, I guess we'll go to Vic, town manager.
Before you do
oh,
that,
yes, ma'am.
the boys in Public Works did a phenomenal job with the storms that we've had back to back. And I just want to make sure that the young bucks know that they are standing up to probably Mr. Penny standards,
There
which
you
is a
go.
good thing.
Well, last month when you gave your good news comment, I had a meeting shortly thereafter with Chris, and I made sure to let him know your thoughts. I will again. I will say, great
And
job.
I've had some residents comment about, they were quite impressed.
You know, the truth of the matter is that normally in life, if you want to do a good job, you do a good job. And Chris and everybody there, they want to do a good job. They want to take care of the town. And it shows. And it shows in your feedback. And I don't meet with them all. I meet with Chris. And I can tell you that in all of my discussions with Chris, he is 150% all in for doing what needs to be done. And as a matter of fact, he just cleared his probation review, and I genuinely told him we couldn't ask for any more. He is doing a super bang up job. But I'll let him know that of your continued comments.
Scott is re-firing of what might come. And there's been quite pleased
Well, and to that point, I shared with Chris, and because you're right on the doorstep of it, so I will go there. When you have in these positions somebody like a Scott Penny, who is a Mary Martin, you got people that are just institutions. It is easy to say. It is easy to think and to say, what happens next? But in all of the situations that I've dealt with since being here, and certainly again, Chris is no different. We've had great lines of succession. Jake taking over for Steve. I've on more than one occasion has said very similar words to Jake. I think he's doing a super job. I truly do. And so in in my probation review, we were on the doorstep of what you were saying and then say, hey, look, I understand. It's kind of hard. It's got to be hard to go after somebody like Scott Penny. And I just think that you're doing a magnificent job. And I actually did say that, if you you do a good job because you want to do a good job. I see that. I see that all the time. And that matters. It matters. So again, I'll share your thoughts. Anything else before I launch in? I've just got a few things. Municipal election nomination dates, again, papers for all of what's available, including the one counselor seat. Papers are available as of today. Janice stands ready to help you out. Do know that the filing deadline is Friday, April 11th. The election, of course, will be Tuesday, June 10th. Fire department, Fred had wanted me to share with you, that they have received the state forestry grant for a chainsaw and Class A foam. It's a 50-50 grant, more to come later. Plow truck sale update. I'll take responsibility for this. I should have used a different mousetrap. The deal fell through. And so we still have the plow truck. It's a backup until we sell it. I should have come to you guys and it's hard because we're doing this in public, right? Some sort of what would you accept number and then just allow press to wheel and deal and make a deal. But the delay of how government runs between the time that they had initially did a verbal deal to the time I got it to you guys to approve, to the time then he went back to the guy, it fell through. So we still own that plow truck. And unless you guys feel different without making official votes or anything, if we can do a deal with the number that you had given us approval for with this guy, unless I hear any different feedback from you guys right now, that's how I'll move forward. And if he can do a deal, I'll have him do the deal. And if that works for you guys, great. If not, if you want it more formalized, then we'll do it that way again. I'm not hearing anything. So I don't have it teed up as a motion. Again, it isn't like I got somebody in the offing here, right? Yeah. So, but this is the problem. So if you guys take a vote on a number right now, that's telling the marketplace that they can have it for that number or possibly even less. It hurts our negotiating power. Okay. All right. Okay. I like that. Okay. I like that. I like that. I feel bad because we only meet once a month, right? And so, yeah. All right. So I'll share this with Chris. And I don't think, no, again, it was just, we put it out front and so we didn't even really put it out to bid, right? You guys allowed us to put it out front with a tag on it. We got a bite. I eventually got the bite to you. And by then the fish was off the hook, so to speak. I don't know. I assume maybe once the snow clears, when we can get a space out there, maybe. The last conversation I had with him, he told me that it fell through, was, hey, we at least have it for a backup truck. So it isn't like there's no value to it, but I do think that they would like to try to sell it. Of course, it does impact Mr. Jake in the back row there a little bit, but that's a horse of another color. So anyways, I like what you're saying, Daryl. That's how I'll move forward. No, I didn't. I can. I mean, we can do it as formalized as you want, we just set it up to set it out there, put a sticker on it, and we got an offer, and eventually I got it to you guys, you know. But that's time, right? Yeah. Well, if we're going to do that, then I need more information from you guys so I can put it on like next month's agenda. I don't think anybody is probably going to soak it up in the next 3 weeks anyways, but um, it's up to you guys how you want to deal with it. All right, so I'll put it on there, but without a price. Okay?
They do out front.
What did they put for a price?
I think if I remember right, I think it was 35 and the bite we got was at 25.
Was it 35 and then
All right.
if you get a bite, call it 10 days. We'll figure out a way.
Yeah, I just feel bad that it kind of went the way it did. All right, let me see. MMA. All right, duly noted. All right, continuing on. So I shared with you guys that Miss Janice here is eventually going to be leaving us. And I think probably hanging around a little bit longer than she'd like.
If I didn't like, I wouldn't.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. She's happy to hang around longer than she was thinking. So with that, I am happy to announce that we have hired our next town clerk. Her name is Rebecca Charest, and she will begin here on March 12th. And she'll have a few weeks to train with Janice and begin the process of getting her indoctrinated into the world of municipal town clerking. She has a lot of various office experience, nothing municipal. And so, yeah, she's a very worthy candidate. Hope it works. And you guys may have heard that in the last several weeks, we did have one of our Public Works members leave us. And I'm happy to say that Chris has hired someone to fill that slot. A gentleman by the name of Daniel French, goes by DJ, as I understand it. And so welcome aboard, DJ. And that's all that I have for you. Back to the chair. Yeah, so the old report, I mean, the old business, the first two items there, the town report dedication and the spirit of America, you guys have a history of wanting to keep this all nice and secret and surprise everybody with the town report. So we have begged the public's indulgence in years past for make sure all microphones are off, for you guys to pause for a moment and to confer amongst yourselves. And if you come to a conclusion tonight, either now or at the end of the meeting, hand me a piece of paper with the results, and we'll begin the due diligence of making sure things are taken care of the way they should. So I'll leave it to you guys. Mike back on?
We're at personnel policy change,
Yeah, so
the thing we keep kicking
yeah,
down the
at
road.
this point, I think it's well-versed territory. Again, I'm bringing three possible changes to the town's personnel policy for your consideration. One is the opt-out health insurance number, changing it essentially from 2,600 a year to 3,900 a year. The next one is to match with the PD contract of the wellness component. And then the third is to change the rating for getting reimbursed for certain educational expenses from a, what was it, B plus to C plus? B minus to C minus, which is also part of the PD contract.
I think I interrupted this the last time Paula made a motion, but the thing I was focusing on was the
Walter, you want
wellness.
to turn on your mic?
I was focusing on the wellness component. And I thought that was a neat thing to offer, especially if it was proactive with the town employees. It wouldn't cost us anything unless somebody stood up and wanted to use that. However, I rethinking it, it really should be part of the healthcare plan anyway. Maybe the next time you guys negotiate that, you could slip that in as something that's being offered from the healthcare provider. So I'm fine with just going with the original motion that Paula made me to punt this down the road, maybe next year and do nothing this year.
I make a motion that we leave it as it currently is in all areas that are being brought up.
And I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? They've already said their thing, so I'm looking at you. Do you have anything that you want to bring up? Okay. All right, all those in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you.
It's passed. New business, we get into the fun stuff. We can, I'll take a motion to accept the 2026 budget warrant. I can see you guys are excited to have your name written on that.
Make a motion that we accept the fiscal year 26 budget warrant as both discussed and approved by the both budget committee and the council members.
Hey, we have a motion? We have a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, raise your hand for yes.
Thank
Opposed,
you.
no, or whatever.
So I'll need you guys to
Yes.
give your signature because this is the official
Yep.
warrant.
Do you need to be teed up or we just do this? The next one?
Say that again?
Do you feel the need to talk about the next one or you want us to just approve it?
We have Fred with us, just in case anybody had any questions on it.
Okay,
I
well,
think you can just do
Well, you do
it.
the motion, then discussion if anybody wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I'd accept the motion.
I make a motion that we allow the purchase of a new pumper truck by the fire department for the amount of $675,000.
We have a motion.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded. So any discussion? And I would just say, remember, this is being paid for 100%. This isn't, we're not borrowing money for this. This is money that they have in their account to do this.
And so the,
Well, It
We're
will
gonna-
be, it's going to be actually be
Right.
done in the summer
Right.
when it passes.
right,
Did we get a
Does that
trade?
need to be in the contingency?
No,
Doesn't
no,
really,
because
right,
it's a part of the warrant.
right.
And if it didn't do it, there's a couple
Okay,
of ways.
just asking, I've just.
Yeah.
No,
Now, so the public knows, what are we doing with the old one?
It's being traded in for the $15,000 as a part of this deal.
and they'll be taking off the equipment off from the old one.
Yep.
So it'll be just a bear truck, basically.
Yeah, so I almost feel the need because it launches into the next one. So we pay with this deal for the 675, we pay 520 once they deliver it, in theory, in a few weeks. And then we pay the balance plus any items from the next agenda item, which is the customization component. Both the remaining, the net 140 from the truck itself, plus any added expenditures will be paid to this company by the end of July, July 31st of this year. And so that's kind of how the deal is set up. And the good news is the town's not spending any interest on the delay of time.
They're aware of it and they're
Oh, yeah,
okay with
it's-
that, right? No, I mean, I'm just saying it for the public.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, they could watch our old discussions too if they wanted to.
I make a motion that we approve the new
We
pumper
haven't-
truck customization up to 40,000.
We haven't voted on the first motion. yet.
Oh.
Sorry. We were still discussing. So before, we'll hold that motion, if you will. Is there any other discussion on the pumper truck? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Thank
All those
you.
opposed? It's carried.
I make a motion that we approve the new pumper truck customization up to the amount of $40,000 as needed.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Thank
All
you.
those opposed? Hey, now it's Jake's turn. Come on up. I'm sure I don't know if you're gonna tee it up or he is, but I'm comfortable with either one of you.
During the budget process, we mentioned switching over to
Right.
meters, just kind of a formal process here. There's an opportunity to buy a package of 100 meters with the software and all that for $30,000. Ultimately, it would be almost another $9,000 to do it all separate. We're spending some money on Highland Avenue, so we're trying not to. So we're gonna do a small lease of $20,000 and we'll look at the budget next year. There's no penalties to pay it off early. If we can do that, we'll do it in the next budget cycle. If not, it's a 3-year term and it's $7,500 a year. Just looking so we can get that started. We've been talking about radio read for many, many years. And
Right.
some of our meters, when I first started a few decades ago, we replaced all the meters in the town. It's been almost 20 years now, and they suggest 15 to 20-year cycles. So we're there. They're not going to get any cheaper. So I think it's a good time to
So
start.
how many meters does this include? 30, you said?
100.
Okay, this says 100.
100
Now,
meters
how
with
many meters?
software.
I'm sure I'm asking you something that's not fair, but how do you know roughly how many meters there are in town?
There's just over 800.
Okay,
We have 4 routes. Essentially what this will do is we'll be able to drive down Wilson Street and it'll all come into our tablet, take it back to the shop, and it's done.
right.
We have 4 routes that we have. What we would do is, they're expensive. We'd start out probably trying to do half a route a year. And at least that one route, we wouldn't have to go out and
Right.
walk around. And eventually, over time, obviously, the town would be radio.
Now, would you
read
have enough,
and
like,
hours.
my only thought was like, if somebody builds a new house, we'd really like to see one of those new meters go. Like, would you have enough extras so that like?
So we
for the
have
few-
a
I mean, it's
small-
not like we have tremendous amount of houses.
No,
going
and we
up
have a
there.
small account normally for our budget
Right.
year for meters.
Okay,
So we would have a few for instances like that, and if one breaks
right,
or whatever throughout this year or it stops,
right.
to put those in place. we gotta work out the details.
I
If there's
understand.
one here and the rest of them are ready to read how that's gonna work out.
Right.
We wanna do it in groups the best
Right,
we
no, it
can.
makes sense, but at the
Um,
same time, I was just thinking, it's
and
too bad to
all-
put an old meter in and then.
Yes, absolutely. And I think in that case, some of these meters that we're gonna replace along the way are still usable meters. So we might save a few of those and put them on, say if we're not gonna do a roof for
Right.
several years down the road,
Right,
put that in for now
Right.
and it won't cost a dime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what we're looking to do.
Just curious, these meters are state of the art. I mean, is
Correct.
this software not gonna be obsolete 2 years from now, or this is a coin flip?
I mean, I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
Things go so fast that, I
I
mean,
know.
I don't know. You get a computer today and it's no good tomorrow. You know?
Right,
You know, and I was telling you, well, earlier, they got cellular ones now. You put a device in and we don't even have to leave the office, but right now, you know, it's for that device is $400 plus the cost of the meter. So you're talking over $600 for one house. Well, we're talking $250 here, and it's Mechanic Falls. How long does it take you to drive the street,
Right.
really? And,
at least this way you don't have to get out and hit the button, like I.
you know, in the
assume-
winter time,
Right.
it'll be much better. And these things have the ability to have leak detection on both sides,
Oh,
our
nice.
side and the customer side. They can narrow it down to a certain area. From however, we'll figure it
Right.
out. They'll teach us and we'll know what is leaking that area, so. It could save us in that area at some point, but like I said, I mean, we're at the point where we're gonna need to start changing meters anyhow, so this, I think, is the time. It's up to you guys whether, if you wanna leave these in for 50 years, we'll leave them in for 50 years, but I don't think the
But the
next guy,
reality is we may be forced into doing it.
well, you're gonna have to
Well,
eventually.
I mean, because we're at the edge of where we need to start doing it anyway.
And the thing is with water meters is they slow down, so we're not collecting all the revenue that you might not like it personally, but
Right,
as a whole, we're not collecting the revenue that we possibly could be
Right.
collecting, so
right,
I think it's the right thing to do.
right.
So
Makes sense.
you guys are essentially, it's gonna be his signature, and like I said, I'm hoping depending on finances when we come around, I mean, we may be able to just pay it off and at next year and not pay, there's a little bit of interest involved, obviously, but so that's the plan.
So what do you need from us? You need an
Yeah, we
approval?
need to vote on it.
Is
Uh,
this official paperwork,
Right.
so you need a motion to enter into the agreement with,
The water
Retirement
department.
Savings Bank.
First off, you, Michelle, are also doing a phenomenal job.
Do what I
The
can do.
people behind the scenes that nobody knows about,
Yes,
and you need to be recognized.
appreciate it.
I make a motion that we give the water department permission to go into contract with Androscoggin
Save.
Savings Bank to purchase new meters per the agreement that they have.
second,
I'm only asking because I just want to make sure it's clear and it works out for you. She said meters, but you're gonna do like a package with the,
So it-
software and
it-
everything's
it's a
included?
package.
right? It's a
The
package.
meter finance,
Package.
the meter package,
Thank you.
financing.
I know that's a
package.
technicality, but I just
Well,
want to make sure you're covered and we're
The
covered.
Software alone.
Right,
For the meter package.
sorry. And you're okay with that?
Yes,
second?
second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Sorry, I know that's just a technicality, but I just want to make sure. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you.
Passed. The road project for North Main Street,
Yeah, so you guys, as a part of the packet, you should have the bid tabulation sheets. There's 2 sheets. For the top coat for North Street, which we want to do here in 2025. We had 5 bidders. And they are as follows. The lowest bidder is Mainly Paving. And they came in with an amount of $177,525. Spencer Paving was $179,925. Gendron was $195. Glidden Excavation and Paving was $215,880, and Northeast Paving was $248,250. So the obvious low bidder is Mainly Paving at $177,525. And in discussions with Chris and with Rob Prue, Rob Prue says he does a lot of work with Mainly Paving. And as the three of us discussed it, Rob had a great point, which is what's really sticking with Chris, that if we want to encourage bidders, then we really need to be accepting the low bid. The three of us discussed, because this town has a great history of dealing with Spencer, and you guys are the final decision makers. So if you want to go with Spencer, it's up to you. But we all agree that if you do want to continue year in and year out to really get aggressive bids, that we need to really accept the lowest bid, as long as we're dealing with a reputable company. And Rob is very comfortable with Mainly Paving. They do a lot of projects that Rob is involved with. And so I now put it into your hands.
I make a motion that we accept the bid from Mainly Paving Services in the amount of $177,525.
Pending budget referendum approval.
Pending budget referendum approval
For North Main Street.
for
paving.
North Main Street paving.
Great group effort. I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you.
Passed.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Been moved that we adjourn. Any,
Second.
all right, been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, stand up and leave.